I want to today talk about the discipline. I want to see discipline. What is discipline to you, Mike? And James, Kelly, Shen, what is discipline to you?
Discipline is holding to a certain plan or course of action, even when it's slightly uncomfortable.
Okay, so that's one discipline. That's okay. And Kelly.
Discipline is acting for the long-term benefit rather than acting impulsively for the short-term benefit.
So that's another way of talk about discipline. Shen.
I would, consider it acting deliberately despite what external forces may provide you.
Okay, that's another way of talk about a discipline. Okay, what about you, Joey?
He walked away, Shifu.
Okay. What about Crystal?
Crystal, come on, Crystal, let us.
Or her.
Come on, Crystal.
All right. Okay, clear the throat.
Discipline is following certain rules.
Following certain rules. Okay, good. So, and what do you think, discipline? And Krista?
Discipline means to teach.
To teach. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What about you, Madison?
Oh, me, there's so many good definitions already. I agree with Kelly's definition, putting off or doing something that's difficult for long-term benefit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I see over here, according to dictionary, somebody says, you're disciplined. What does that mean? That means you're punished, right? You need to obey the rules. That's what the discipline is about. And the discipline is about obedience. To make somebody to be obedient. Make somebody to follow the rules. Make somebody to be conformed. To control some certain actions. And then just like a self-discipline, just like what Kelly and medicine and C, and the discipline is about not impulsive, rather reach long-term goals. And but over here, what I'm talking about discipline, to me, is it's about the learning. It's a let go of the past rules. Let go of past traditions. Let go about past conformities. Let go about past governments, regulations, so-called human order. We made ourselves, the restrictions we made. Not to follow the political order, not to follow the rules, not to follow the trend, not to enter the genre, and not to restrict, to be restricted by environment, not to reflect the environment or conditioned situation you are in. Okay, everybody's conditioned into war, disciplined into the war, and you are one of them. Not to follow that order, but to learn, to observe. Not to get into the fear or the pressure, the environment pressure, and the situation pressure. Not to be shaped by environment. Not to enter the impetus environment psychology. Not to follow others' opinions or so-called government order, cultural order, traditional order, or religious order. Not to obey or not to be obeying, or to be the slavery of experts, or slavery of powerful, or slavery of the authority. Not to follow into certain order of living, but self-learning, self-observing. It's let it flow into the natural order, to observe, to see, to listen intensely, with full attention, with heart and mind of the natural, the whole phenomenon, not only that so-called tiny self, but beyond that self, the relationship from the self, between the self and the nature, between the self of the universe, between the self of the earth, between the self of the sea. Not to control. Can you control the sea? Can you control the wind? Can you control anything that you believe is the truth? When you can control the truth, there's no longer truth. Discipline is to penetrating into the natural intelligence, and to see, to observe, to listen with 100% attention of the unknown. The world is beauty because it is unknown. It is all, if it is can be controlled, it's no longer the beauty because it can be controlled. Any controlled things. Is that a real order? Just like recent wars, the war is getting control. We are in control, that's a lie. So to me, discipline is a full learning. 100% listening, 100% action. The action without forced action, without strife, without struggle, without conflicts. When you have order, but you do not want to follow the order, if people punish you into the order, force you into the order, there's a great conflict. Is that a discipline? Can you learn? No, you're conformed to certain patterns. You're not really learning that we call it conformity. Education, for example. Education seems to be a discipline. You're disciplined to educate, to be educated, to get a good job from 9 to 5 or 5 to 11, whatever. And certain order, and you live with that, you die with that. Is that really a discipline you want to get into? As I see that slowly it's going to diminish because machine can take over. That can discipline machine can take over because the machine is much faster, computer much faster, the cell phone is much faster than each one of us to calculate. And we're trained like a machine to be disciplined to such order, such a rule, such a regulation, such a society, such a conformity. But there's another discipline. When I talk about this discipline, it's exploring. This discipline is learning. It's continuous learning without restrictions, without obedience, without control, without struggle, without conflicts. It's a natural order. The order comes on its own. Just like when you meditate, that meditation, you want to get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the state of the mind, that silence. And you begin to connect, to see beyond that walls, beyond that visible appearance, beyond the financial society, beyond that so-called order of the media, order of the society, order of the military, order of a nation, And people say, okay, you could discipline it to be loving this nation. That's real love. No, it's not love. That's not love. That's a forced, conformed. That love leads to destruction. Any army, you see the opposite. It's a security. No, it's not a security. Everybody build an army. Everybody ready to fight each other. Is that a security? No, that brought all to self-destruction. You build atomic bombs. I build hydrogen bombs. Is that a security? No, that lead to total destruction of humanity. So that kind of discipline, you really want to get into that kind of discipline? To be punished, to obey, to follow, to be conformed. Over here, I talk about discipline. It's the discipline everybody can see with oneself. When you're disciplined and you begin to explore yourself. For example, I want to discipline my body to communicate, to learn about myself, to learn about the immune system, to learn about my chemical reaction, to learn about my consciousness communication, to learn about each cell and that organization, that self-organization, that self-exploring, that self-communication, that self-learning about each other. There are 50 trillion cells inside the body. And then I went to all over the country, as test. See, if I can really improve myself in such a degree, not to improve myself, try to basically to learn myself, to clean myself, to communicate myself, to see if anything that can invade into my system, any virus, any disease. For the last 50 years, I'm exploring, especially recently 3 years. And I made hundreds of people who affected the environment with the virus. That's including 2003 when I was in China with the SARS. But I explored and I found out when you are totally organized, when you're really into natural learning, that kind of discipline, that kind of learning, that kind of attention to oneself, to connect oneself with the whole, and you are immune to any invasion, to any so-called virus, so-called toxicants. Because you are, every minute you are learning, you empower yourself. Every minute you're learning, every 90 seconds you're learning, you communicate, you explore, you connect, you are in resonance with the nature. You resonate with all the sentient beings and unsentient beings. You resonate with the whole cosmic universe. That's what I see as a discipline. That discipline is to find the inner self. That discipline is to learn about the real self. That self without confusion, without all kinds of signals wrapped around, without the dark holes we are put ourselves in, without all the cages, without all the frosty thing, without all this foggy environment, without all these pollutions, without all this social media chaos, fight, conflicts, quarrels, but into the pure self. That pure self is each one of us, and you and me, and medicine and me. I don't see the difference. I don't see the difference. We're all the human being. We pure ourselves. There's no female, male. There's no medicine. There's no square. There's no Shangliu. There's no DeRu. There's no teacher. There's no student. Just a human being without position, without labels, without appearance. Of that nationality, of that gender, of that race, or over that engineer, doctor, cleaner, without that kind of social positions, but just as a human being, as a being, to learn. That's the discipline, what I'm talking about. It's fully engaged into what? Into learning. Learning about oneself, learning about pleasure, learning about pain, learning about suffering, learning about fear. Face each one of them. But when you face these things, not to give any opinions, any judgments, any backgrounds, any past memories, traumas, you see things different. Just like this morning, when Miss Liu has been involved with the fear, with the tiredness, exhaustion of her life. It has been lasted for over 50 years. As she mentioned this morning, that when she was 10 years old, because of certain political situations, her family left her. She was 10 years old, left in the darkness by herself. She not only felt lonely, but she was frightened. Because we're taught to be with people, we're taught to be with a social entity, and she was frightened. Since that time, until she was 70 years old, almost 70 years old, she never, ever lived by herself, never, ever lived in the darkness, never, ever go anywhere by herself. Because she was full of fear. She would get into total frantic situation. But she has searched for 30, 40 years to treat her disease because she didn't have energy to do anything at all after the birth of her child. But she could not find anything wrong. But any medical beings, they give her all kinds of medicine. But the last year, and she found 999 MediBreath. Somebody introduced somebody because he listened to Mr. Liu. Mr. Liu is Liu Feng. A lot of people have heard of him. He's very well known in China. He's a good friend of mine. We had conversations many times. I brought him to the United States to have conversation with me. And on the podcast I did it for the radio station. And then we did a lot of in China, and somebody introduced her to listen to me. And then she got into the 999 MediBreath. She said, for the last year, she can live by herself. Remember 50 years she could not do that, but now she can do it. It's not just the change, transformation takes time. No, it doesn't. Fraction of a second, she changed everything. because she said that. Of course, this is by her own take. When I heard Shifu said, I'm the cosmos, I'm the humanity, I'm the universe, I'm nature, I'm everything there is, what I'm afraid of. And that translated and penetrated into her mind. And with total perception, total new perception of all things. Of course, she does meditate breath every single day, hours a day. And now she lives by herself. Her kids didn't even believe she could live by herself. She drove them away. She lived by herself. She traveled by herself, 70 years old. So what I see, human beings can change. And that's when she learned about herself, is self-exploring, self-learning. Because before that time, that restriction, that order, that beliefs she had, and brought her into such a situation. But when she left that belief, left that fear, left that dogma, left all that memories, everything changed. Everything changed. Just like the leader today, he was the co-host of the event, the annual event. By the moment he wrote down his last letter, what do we call it? Callie, James? The last letter of your life, to distribute all the properties, all the things to your children, to your relatives.
We call that bequeathing.
A will.
That is correct. Bequeathing and the will. So when he wrote that, because in Chinese people, they're very, 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 very allergic to write a will. You know why? Because they didn't believe this kind of will. Because if at the moment you wrote a will, that means you're ready to die. But at the moment, because he had a stage 4 leukemia, and doctors told him, and he was ready, you're either ready to do, transplant, even the transplant, and doesn't guarantee your life. And then in China, of course, to him, leukemia is the worst of the cancer. Because in China, there has such a propaganda. If you get a leukemia, you're guaranteed to death. So when he wrote the last letter, and he said, I left everything. And then second day, he heard somebody from Oxford University, a professor, introduced him to my public class. And today he announced, I didn't know there were 4,000 people. And in the whole time, there were 4,000 people in the class, in and out, in 7 groups, all public for free. He was in one of those classes. He registered himself in. Later on, he entered the different classes, paid classes. A year later now, everything's negative. When you give up all the past, when you peel off all these toxins, and you basically detoxify yourself, and you reprogram yourself, that's discipline. Because you learn, really, truly learn about yourself. Let your past mistakes go. Let your past program to go. Let your past conditioned mind to go. Let your past toxicants go. Let your past ideas, ideologies, either any labels, any attachments, let them go. Be free. Freedom, discipline. Totally free exploration. 功夫 is that exploration, is that freedom. That's why I want everybody create things. Sometimes you create a form, you create something new, instead of learn something, just everything's on order. Yes, at the beginning, sometimes you have certain skills you learn, but you learn how to let that go freely, create something new. Go beyond the past, go beyond that cage, go beyond that dogma, go beyond that frame of the mind, that tradition. So that's what I call discipline. So over here is self-learning, is self-exploration. Learn about yourself, your relationship with people, your relationship with nature, your relationship with all beings, your relationship with the cosmic consciousness. Not just the particular, but in connection with the whole. That's what I call discipline. So it's a little bit different, but there are a lot of similarities. But that's what I see and I'm doing. And then 9-9 med breath is sort of like it's new. Yes, I've been doing the 50 years, a different breath, different things to empower oneself. I developed about 27 modules. I present to the world 9 modules. But the modules is different ways of doing it. And then different ways to empower yourself, different ways to transform that energy, to transport that oxygen from the oxygen ATP transform into ADP, into energy. Let energy open up your channels, let energy open up your cells, and let energy to open up all the stem cells or bacteria. Everybody get the information, new nutrients, new vitality, and they change the old form. Any diseased state of the mind, diseased state of consciousness, diseased state of consciousness of the energy frequency in each cell to be eliminated and build a new coherence, new balance, new homeostasis, new coherence that are in connection with the nature, new coherence in resonance with the universe, new coherence to be able to adapt to any situations. That's what I see. So that's the 999 med breath is not far, just for energy, not just for recharge alone, but to give you tremendous energy so that you can continue to explore without dissipating your energy, without dissipating what you need as a life force to be able to use that force, use that energy to be coherent, to be in connection, to be able to explore further and further to the unknown, not to be restricted from the past, not to be restricted by the burdens, not to be attached to all the attachments, to be free. That's what I see. That's precisely what I call the learning, the self-learning. Not only learn about that particular self, but go beyond that particular self, the grand self, the whole. There's no crystal, there's no medicine, there's no gems, there's no tongue, but there's the entire cosmic humanity. Beyond the earth of humanity, any conscious beings from any part of the cosmos, any part of the galaxy, any part of the universe, to see, to explore the unknown, to learn. So I want everybody express yourself, and any questions. And before we do a little bit of breathing, do a little bit of self-exploration, do a little bit just meditation. Thank you. Anybody? Yes, go ahead, Barbara.
Well, when you're doing this exploration, are you happy, sad? What are you feeling?
When I do exploration, there's no feeling of pleasure or pain, just a simple observation. Just watch, just listen, just observe. I start with the breathing. I explore the breathing, penetrate into my lungs, into my abdomen, into my cells, change it into energy, from oxygen to energy. And I just watch, just observe, without opinions, without judgments, without give any labels, pleasure, pain, happiness, just a pure observation. That's what I see. When I do it, and then I sometimes, yes, I do see the penetration of the energy into the spinal cord. I do see the penetration into the cells. I do see the penetration of the energy into the body. There's heat, there's a chill, there's a lot of things, but sometimes I just don't want to linger on it. Rather, just let it go as it is. Some people call Vipassana, and then I call inner observation, pure inner observation. Just watch without opinions. Just let it take on its own course in flow, without any restriction, without control, without any judgments. Yes, ma'am.
So the observations then are internal, not external.
That is correct. That internal, but you do see sometimes you sometimes bring you into the relationship, into different things, but just observe, just without opinions. And mostly it's internal. That is correct. Your relations, your cells, your inner consciousness, all that organism internally, how they move. Sometimes they may have stories, they may have thinking, they may have things, but because of the energy you are in, because of that breathing you're in, because of that deep state of the mind you're in, you want to stay that long. You'll always get back to the energy without dissipating, without a follow-up with, okay, this trend, that trend, this chaos, that chaos, because your attention is on your breath. Your attention is on oxygen. Your attention is on energy. Your attention is in the sense of feel. Your attention is that energy transportation. Your attention is that cells division. Your attention is that split per second of that feel. And sometimes you go beyond that feel. Without a color, without a feeling, without any feel, anything. Sometimes you travel freely. it can be beautiful because you don't know. Any minute is different. That's the beauty of it. I can stay for hours and hours without get out. And yesterday, today I was not late. The day before yesterday, I was like a half an hour late. I thought it was one hour earlier, but I was half an hour late. I did over 1.5 hours over my time. I lost time. So your opinion of time is gone because I was got into it, and then I just I didn't get out, and the people waited for me, and because they're trying to rehearse for today's the celebration of the annual. I did this program in China for 1 year celebration. They did 2 hours today, and they want to make sure the 2 hours, but try to get as many people into it as possible. And because there's so many people involved, a lot of people want to talk about their experience, that when their pain, their sufferings, and then how they get out of it, how they get out of the cancer, how they get out of the leukemia, how do they get out of the and the back pain, how do they get out of the the skin problems, how they get out of the the trauma they had before. So everybody want to express themselves. I can understand. And so they try to get all this video in. And then yesterday, the day before yesterday, ran through with me, and I was impressed. And today they did that in China. The people from all over the world. And one lady, she's a professor from Australia. She said she never thought this could happen. She taught at the university in Australia. She got all these, lot of students from Southeast Asia. And everybody's scared. Why? Because there's a high virus situation in Southeast Asia. A lot of people scared. And she was kind of tight, she told me. And she told everybody today, she was tight. And then she tried to do every morning, she to get 2 hours earlier before she go to her university. And then she want to boost her immune system. And during the day, at any time she want to boost her immune system. 11 weeks passed. She has not get it from anybody. And one day, she had this gentleman told her he was just confirmed he had a coronavirus. He said, "You'd better check out because I talked to you for more than 20 minutes." And then when I talk, I spit. I know that I spit all over your face. I saw you wipe your face. I never get into you. And she went to check. She's perfectly fine. She didn't get it. And I told her, we had a research. England had a research. They put a virus into a lot of people, a lot of young people, 20 years old, less than 30 years old, a group of people inject the virus into the body and they put a virus into the nose, coronavirus, and half of them didn't feel anything, didn't get it at all. It's negative. They checked many times, negative. But then the half got it, but they fight over with it. And then a few of them without the symptoms. So you can see human beings has such a, we have such a immune system. If we really boost the immune system, we don't have problems with this. But it is a fear driving us into such a corner. It's a fear drive us, make ourselves dissipate our energy. That's what I see. That's through my observation, because I encountered hundreds of them who got a virus, because I personally touched it with my hands. I personally wiped the face, I personally touched the head, personally, shake hands with them, personally, talk to them face to face. So what I see is that fear sometimes drive us into the corner. And because we have certain things. Over here, what I call discipline is reprogramming. Discipline is exploring. Discipline is in observation. Discipline is to see beyond that appearance, beyond that fear, beyond that diseased state of the model of our being. Yes.
Well, so when you're observing internally the energy flowing, how does that feel?
Yeah, that's a good question. If I tell you how do I feel, and then I tell you what to do. So I would rather let you to taste to see if you want to taste the apple, you need to actually bite the apple to see how it feels to taste that apple. Let me put it that way.
I know how I know about apples. Okay.
So
I know the taste. I know how that feels.
Okay. So today, let's do this. Let's just breathe, and then see what do you feel. Okay. What I'm going to do today, and I'm going to give you 3 modules. Which one you want to do? One is a 3-6, one is a 4-8, one is a 6-12. Which one you want to do? Easiest one is breathe in 3 and breathe out 6. That's the easiest one. And the middle one is breathe in 4 and breathe out 8. The last one is a little bit tough one. It's 6 breathe in, 12 breathe out. Which one you want?
Well, I would go for the easy one, but I don't know what the other people want to do.
The hardest one. Hardest one.
Okay, you want the hardest one. She wants the easiest one. Okay, let's get the middle one. What do you think, Evan? Dana? Angela? You want which one you want? Okay. Think about it.
Pizza.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm Tracy. All right. And
the middle one?
Middle one. Okay, let's do middle one. Okay.
Yeah. Can I ask a quick question? Shifu, can I ask one quick question?
Yes, sir.
On when you're meditating, from what I'm hearing, what you're speaking today is a little different take from what I've heard, or maybe I'm just realizing this. It sounds as if what you're trying to do is minimize the energy dissipating and maximize the energy that you have to naturally flow, and the natural flow will take you to a better exploration, and the better exploration will be from when you're looking at everything from a childlike perspective of everything is new and fascinating, but don't get caught up at one thing, have that limited attention span, so to speak.
Good way to explain it. At the beginning, we do 4-8, for example. Yeah, we start with this breathing to contain our mind, to kind of not to let it spread all over the place, right? And as we go and we eliminate that kind of numbers, and we breathe with a natural way, and that's when we begin to explore and further, and we at the beginning just recharge, without dissipating, just like you said, because you need a tremendous energy to explore that wisdom, to need tremendous energy to see yourself, need tremendous energy to explore the infinite possibilities, the infinite potentiality, the infinite wisdom, because you need that tremendous energy. So when you dissipate so much energy, you want to see the surface. You want to see one thing. You lost everything, lost track of everything else. So What do we see is to see the totality of things, to continue to explore instead of just here's the truth. I caught it. And then eventually caught it, oh, it's a poo-poo. So,
Yeah.
so that's what, of course I use different words. Okay, that may not be that a word, but it's something else. What I see is to continued exploration of your, the inner wisdom. And
what's so ironic about it is you say it takes a lot of energy to do all this, but you feel full of energy when you get finished with meditation.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely have a lot of energy. Okay, you see things with more clarity. It's different. Absolutely. Okay, let's do 4, 8. Okay, we're going to take a middle. Okay, we say we'll have 2 and we take a middle today. Okay, so next time we're going to do something different. Okay, thumb together, put it right below your navel. Deeply breathe in, out. 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 Hold it. In, out. Deeply in, out. One more time. In, tongue, stick to the upper hard palate. Out. In, 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 out. Hold it. In, out. Deeply in, out. In, slowly out. Okay, open your eyes. Okay, give me a little bit things you want to say. Share a little bit if you want to. And we start with Barbara. Barbara want to express earlier.
What I felt was the air going down into way down and then coming way back up. It was a sensation of air.
Beautiful. See, okay, that's a good start. See, now you don't have to say, okay, now I have taste that air, and then that air, the oxygen, and it become energy, and it, you know, went to the body. That's good. Okay. Anybody else? Thank you. Thank you, Barbara.
Hello, Shifu.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
I actually perspired a lot, and you know, I'm soaking wet right now.
Good.
And one thing was when you say hold, I did hold, but I started in order not to breathe. I started making, you know, I noticed that my face was jumping and my mouth was like I was biting back, not biting, but pressing my lips together so I don't breathe. And I didn't do that purposely. It just for me to not to breathe. It was like I was telling my brain to shut up. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. You know, it just came naturally. I'd never done it this way, but it came naturally that I did it.
Okay. Okay, this is what I see at the beginning. What happened? Okay, this is natural. Why? Because at the beginning, and for you never done this, you know, really into such a depth. You know, this is even though this is not long, but to you it's long. However, you never done this before, and your body want to, you know, your body reacts differently. You want to breathe, and then you want to control, but it's okay at the beginning. But slowly, you know, as you get familiar, you lose that control. You don't have to. You have to let the control go, and then just naturally not breathe. And for this kind of holding breath, it's a little bit more challenging. Then later on, we'll have some breath. It's much easier than this. When you do the whole process, and then it will be much easier. At the beginning, yes, it's a little bit tough. It's natural, no problem at all. And it's perspire, it's natural because when you do not breathe, your body begin to, you know, the energy begin to, you know, really boil inside. Okay, boil inside, and then you're gonna perspire, and everybody does that. And as you go more familiar, you perspire less, but you still have a lot of heat, and be transformed into the body. You begin to feel, to sense, and but it's a good exploration to begin with. It's good.
The question I have though is there what should one do to quiet the brain so it does not kick the nervous system?
So that's precisely you're going to explore yourself. If I tell you, and then you lost the whole purpose of it, you lost the whole process. I want you to go through the process, and I'm going to give you the very basics. You're going to go through the process, and you begin to see and how to do easily. Okay, let me give you an example. Today, a lady who explored, she gave a story about herself. She had leukemia, and she's 72 years old, and she's, you know, found herself with leukemia, and she gave a really beautiful poem reading, and then she said when she started, she didn't want to get a few seconds, you know, holding breath. Now she can do 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And for her, she said, it's impossible. I cannot even breathe. And for this long, it's just not possible. When I found out I got the leukemia, I cannot even breathe. It's a normal breath I cannot even do. Not to mention this. But 1 year later, everything changed. You can see it's self-exploration. She began to find herself. She began to explore her body, and she explored her, all her blood cells all changed. It's beautiful. If I tell you, and then you lost all that, the beauty of it.
Of course,
I like the smile from your son.
He's always smiling when you're talking. Doesn't smile at me.
No. We smile here. We smile together. It's beautiful.
My question really
Yes, sir.
my question is, I know, second question actually. You say 4, 3, 6, 4, 8, 6, 12.
Mhm.
Breathe in 4 seconds, breathe out 8 seconds.
Correct.
And the number of repetition, how about the number of repetition? How many times?
You can, well, right now, you can, if you have time, you can do a 9 to another 9 to 9, another 9 to 27, and you hold a breath, and you do another 9, another 9, another 9, 27, and then you hold your breath, and you do 2 breaths. After the holding breath, you do 2 breaths to catch up, and then you do another 9, and that's normally you can do for this, and you can do 3, 6, you can do 4, 8, and you can do a lot of repetitions. You will feel each repetition you do actually different, because you're really different. You have different feelings. You see the different exploration, and because you really take internally, your energy is different, and it's very, very tasteful. And we'll get into it. I don't want to get too much. The film, you need to watch the holographic film instead of me watch it for you, okay? Thank you. Anybody? Okay, peers, my beloved peers.
Shifu, could you talk a little about the tongue on the roof of the mouth?
Okay, the tongue that moves through the mouth, and when I breathe, I get a lot of saliva when I put the tongue on the roof of the mouth, and then that also give you some calmness, give you some magnetic field calmness, give you some sensation, and not only secrete saliva, not only to connect that acupoint system, not only just to get the nervous system in connection, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system in harmony, but also help you to sort of lead your breath in a very, very calm way without, this kind of breath, and give you a little bit of sensation of calm sensation, peaceful sensation. And then it has many, many other benefits. And in future, I can explain more. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody? Leslie?
Yeah.
Yes, Tom.
I will go ahead and go over what I feel when I go ahead and meditate. I've been doing this, 6 months now, 7 months maybe.
Yes, yes, sir.
And when I first started, my stomach was so sore from just breathing and concentrating on pulling my lower belly up. But now I'm a lot better. I would also perspire at the very beginning. But
Okay.
like, for instance, after a while, you become almost addicted to meditation, because it is like no other feeling that I've felt before.
Yes.
Today it is basically, when I start breathing, I start feeling, concentrate on the air going through, filling up my lungs, going all the way down to my toes, trying to imagine it going every place in my body, filling it up. And then on the exhale, leaving. And then after a couple of breaths, then I start feeling the sensation of like electrical stimulus, electrical current going from my head down to my feet. Now, hopefully I'll feel something later down the road, and you keep exploring.
Good, very good, very good.
Stuff.
That's beautiful. See?
But you know, it's to me, it's kind of like feeling a warm sun on your head, and it follows you down to your feet. That warm, tingling electrical current. And I know y'all call it chi, and you know, but
yeah, some call chi, some call different things. It's okay.
I don't know what
no
it's called. Yeah, it's,
no problem. No problem.
I'm not putting any I'm not putting labels on it.
Okay, good. Okay, that's good. There we go. All right. Anybody? Anything
Well,
else?
Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
felt a clearing in my head.
Okay.
You know, it was just, I know the breath is cleansing.
Mm.
And I guess
Good.
knowing that it just, I don't know, not so much releasing stress. I feel like it's just clearing my head, you know, in my body, you know. So that's the feeling I have when I'm doing the breathing and the meditating.
Good. Hey, Valerie, that's good.
Yes.
All right, that's good. I like that. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, otherwise we say goodbye and thank you, and we see you next time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.